Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're uncovering how a pretty quiet company from a small island literally became the beating heart of the global digital economy. I mean, we're talking about a tech giant that doesn't sell a single product with its own name on the box, right? Yet they dictate exactly how fast your computer runs, how hot your phone gets, and just how much AI power the modern world can hold in the palm of its hand. It's just an absolutely incredible story of strategy and survival.
Okay, let's dive right in. Just last year, in March 2025, right inside the White House, the U.S. president pointed directly to TSMC's CEO, C.C. Wei, and made this stunning declaration. He said, he's the most important man in the room. And you have to keep in mind, this was a room absolutely packed with cabinet secretaries and tech titans. That quote perfectly captures the almost invisible but absolute authority TSMC has over the future of global technology.
And this is where the magic actually happens, their massive fabrication plant in Taiwan's Hsinchu Science Park. To put their scale into perspective, this single company has a staggering market cap of roughly $1.7 trillion. Trillion with a T. They control around 60% of the entire global chip foundry market. And honestly, when we look at the most advanced chips on Earth, their dominance is even more extreme.
So here's our roadmap for today. 1. Their radical business model. 2. Intel's lost decade. 3. The night shift army and AI moat. And 4. The geopolitics and future risks. Let's get to it.
Section 1. A radical business model. The pure play foundry.
Let's rewind a bit to 1987. Up until then, the industry standard was integrated device manufacturing. Basically, giants like Intel designed and manufactured their own chips under one roof, the whole shebang. But TSMC's founder, Morris Chang, took a completely unheard-of path. He called it the pure play foundry. He decided his company would design absolutely nothing. Instead, they'd focus purely on world-class manufacturing for others. Competitors literally laughed at this, just dismissing them as a glorified print shop for other people's ideas.
But here's the genius of it. By never competing with their customers, TSMC built this ultimate, unbreakable trust. Think about it. If you're Apple, you definitely don't want to hand over your highly classified blueprints to a manufacturer who might just turn around and build a competing smartphone, right? TSMC guaranteed that would never happen. And by focusing purely on process engineering, they created these massive structural switching costs. Once a designer tuned their blueprints to TSMC's factories, it was almost unthinkable to leave.
Which brings us to Section 2, Intel's lost decade and the fall of the giant.
So how exactly does an undisputed titan like Intel, the company that practically invented the microprocessor, lose its 50-year crown to a company they used to mock? Well, it boils down to complacency. Back in 2013, Intel completely missed out on the mobile revolution when Apple signed a deal with TSMC for iPhone chips. Then, Intel hit severe, repeated delays on their 10-nanometer process in 2015, and they completely missed their 7-nanometer launch deadline in 2020. They were trying to juggle designing chips, building factories, and competing all at once, while TSMC just patiently, relentlessly shipped on time.
And because TSMC just kept hitting their deadlines, node after node, the world's biggest tech giants quietly packed up their most important designs and took them to Taiwan. Apple ditched Intel completely for their Macs. AMD, Intel's oldest rival, stopped trying to run its own factories, went all in on TSMC, and suddenly started beating Intel on price and performance. Own NVIDIA, they went straight to TSMC for the chips that are literally fueling today's massive AI boom.
All right, Section 3. The night shift army and the AI moat.
Fast forward to today, and TSMC isn't just catching up anymore. They are actively manufacturing the industry's future, and they defend this turf fiercely. A huge part of their impenetrable moat is what engineers jokingly call the night shift army. Take this quote from Morris Chang. If a machine breaks down at 1 a.m. in the US, it gets fixed the next morning. But in Taiwan, it'll be fixed at 2 a.m. It's this relentless culture where a factory yield problem is treated like an absolute national emergency. That level of dedication is incredibly hard for Western competitors to replicate.
And that cultural dedication, it's backed up by staggering scale economics. In 2024 alone, TSMC poured over $30 billion into capital expenditures. $30 billion! That vastly outpaces rivals like Samsung, who sat around $14.2 billion. Building these modern fabrication plants is astronomically expensive, but TSMC's massive scale lets them sustain this heavy, continuous investment just to make sure they stay 1 or 2 years ahead of everyone else's technology.
So when you combine that grueling work culture with massive cash deployment, the result is total domination. Just look at the market for the world's most advanced chips.
anything at 7 nanometers or below. TSMC commands over 80% of the global market. That's not just a lead, that is an overwhelming, near monopoly on the absolute cutting edge of human technology.
And here's why they are so essential right now. Fueled by this generative AI boom and their exclusive manufacturing for AI leaders like NVIDIA, TSMC reported a whopping $35.9 billion in revenue for just the first quarter of 2026. Basically, every single AI model that's currently reshaping our global economy is being trained on a chip built in Taiwan. They are literally the engine room of the AI revolution.
Finally, Section 4, Geopolitics and Future Risks.
Now, being the digital heart of humanity brings unbelievable pressure, and honestly, the cracks in the foundation might be starting to show. Their operations in Taiwan take an immense toll on local resources. We're talking 150,000 tons of water a day and 7% of Taiwan's entire electricity grid. This makes them super vulnerable to environmental factors. During a recent severe 56-year drought, the company actually had to rely on fleets of water trucks redirecting water away from local farmers just to keep the AI revolution running. Having 80% of the world's advanced chips on one resource-strained island, that's a massive global vulnerability.
So to spread out this risk and ease some very intense geopolitical tensions regarding China, TSMC is trying something colossal. They're committing nearly $165 billion to expand operations in Arizona, aiming to build their most advanced chips on American soil. This is a massive, historic shift, completely driven by global governments demanding secure supply chains.
But exporting that TSMC magic? It's not seamless at all. Remember that night shift army we talked about? Operating in the US brings much higher costs, intense competition for skilled labor, and major clashes with a completely different workforce culture. The American workforce just doesn't inherently embrace those 2 a.m. emergency calls. You can build the multi-billion-dollar factory for sure, but you can't necessarily copy and paste the culture that actually makes it efficient.
So we're left asking ourselves a pretty heavy question. As the world tries to slice up and relocate pieces of this incredibly fine-tuned empire for geopolitical safety, will it actually survive the transition? Will this push for reshoring ultimately break the pure-play system we all rely on to power the future? It is literally a trillion-dollar question that will define the next decade of technology. Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. I hope it helped you map out the invisible empire that's powering your digital life.